Season 5 of The Expanse disappointed in only one way, and that is because it ended. Now I have to apologize for covering this so late after my other reviews. I watched this back in October, but I got really busy and just didn't end up making a review of it. Now, like and subscribe if you enjoy these videos. We're trying to hit 1,000 before the end of the year, and I will be covering episode to episode of the final season, Season 6. I can't wait. This review will probably be a bit briefer as I don't remember all the intricate details that I usually would after just watching the season. But I will try to keep it to characters and give my thoughts and impressions. It's all pretty much positive, and I don't really have a lot of bad to say. My favorite thing about Season 5 was the theme of the sins of the past coming to affect the present with all of our characters. I loved how Naomi had to deal with the repercussions of her past mistakes and how they're currently affecting her own situation. And she has a chance to do better and prevent the events from repeating themselves. Or Amos, whose past seems extremely tragic and criminal and dangerous, of which it is, but it ends up helping him and getting him to places he wouldn't have been, which ends up being more of a positive thing than a negative thing and actually helping him, in contrast to Alex, who goes back to his family and sees he can't fix this relationship where the past was positive and a good thing and a caring relationship, and now it's destroyed. But moving on from that, let's kick it off with Amos, who goes back to Earth to see his past in Baltimore, where we discover he's actually named Timothy and his mom is dead, and the new man in her life was what truly brought her happiness when waiting for Amos to return. We also learn that he is the reason that the current man in power is in power, because he killed the original Amos Burton instead of killing Eric. And he goes and visits Eric to talk about keeping this man in the house because it's the last thing he has of Amos's mom. And Eric's like, fuck, I thought you were here to kill me. And the actor for Eric and his portrayal of him, I liked it a lot. I haven't read the books, so I don't really have a basis for it, but I feel like he's a very charismatic guy in the scenes that he gets in the books, especially with a sick ass pistol. But then Amos goes and visits Peaches, or Clarissa, in prison, and that's when Marco and Naruso's plan hits the earth. Boom, bang, prison is fucked. And this leads to some of my favorite sequences and character interactions between the prison guards and the juiced up freaking prisoner. He's probably the funniest character in this whole entire season. Just the way he acts like a child as such a hulking man. But having this little side exploration with Amos and Clarissa was great to balance all the large scale conflict going around the solar system. But after getting out, they trek through the woods to the UN. And this leads to them having a confrontation with one of these random outsetters that's doomsday prepping, and Amos stripping naked and Clarissa activating her abilities. It was just all so sick. I love this plotline, tight, concise. I don't really care that it didn't add to the overall story because it did a bunch of character building and added Clarissa's character to the crew of the Rocinante. After discovering what really happened, they try to get off planet and they need the help of Eric to go to these private islands and escape on the spaceship. And Clarissa really tries to be better, be a better person, less of a vengeful spaceship blowing up asshole. But she's like, Amos, we gotta save these locals, these staff. And Amos is like, fuck, fine, I'll do it. And Eric's like, yo, we're criminals. Leave them. Let's get the hell out of here. But it all leads into a confrontation with this militant group that's trying to control the properties. And Amos and Clarissa, they all have badass scenes before escaping to the moon. Some of the funniest scenes and also most clashing character moments is between Amos and Avasarello, especially when he's hitting on her. The humor of the show has just been perfected to a point that it does not override the story in any way. They're not forced jokes. It's just situational comedy that adds brevity to a really fucking serious story. Next up is Naomi, who has the most emotionally stricken storyline. She goes to find Philip on her ship, and Philip takes her to Marcos, and there she is a prisoner trying to convince Philip, Marcos bad guy. He is just a self-obsessed lunatic, and Marcos being essentially the antithesis Holden is great. Essentially, they have the same ideals and characteristics, but go about it in very, very different ways. While Holden doesn't want the belt to be all-powerful and all that, he does want unity in the solar system and everybody to stop fighting and work together, while Marcus is more like, we all work together when I'm in command. But after failing to convince Philip, she fucking jumped ship, literally jumped ship, into space after beating the shit out of her lifelong friend, which was sad to see because she had to choose between saving the crew of the Rocinante or literally assaulting and maybe killing somebody who was a mainstay in her early life. But jumping ship into the vacuum of space, hitting it with that adrenaline, the tension, oh my god, as she arrives and she's got all fucked up face and everything. And then she realizes, oh fuck, the ship I gave to Philip, yeah, Marcos has turned it into a trap to kill my friends. He has all the backup plans. And I've just gotta give praise to the actor of Naomi because the emotional moments when she's running back and forth between the output signal and inside with the oxygen, it just feels so hopeless, like trying to dig through a brick wall with a spoon, as she's just doing her best, anything she can, no matter the pain, to try to save her crew. But this eventually leads her to jump out of space yet again and be rescued by Alex and Bobby. But those emotional scenes within the craft by herself with nobody else to bounce off of resonated even more than when she was trying to convince Philip or she was talking to Marcos with just pure hatred in her voice. Acting alone in pure desperation, she delivered something that anybody can relate to, where you're just beating your head against a wall and trying your best to fix an impossible situation. Damn, that was good. Speaking of Alex and Bobby, let's move to Mars, where Alex tries to reunite with his family, and his wife's like, no, we can't do this. You sent us the message saying you had found a new home and you were enjoying your life. You can't just come back here. And Alex is just devastated. But the way that Alex hides it, he throws behind humor. He goes drinking. He is hiding his pain for the benefit of others because he is supposed to always be the one that's upbeat and optimistic. While Bobby has just turned into Spec Ops black market hunter, and she is just trying to find out the conspiracy of Mars. Where the hell are all these weapons going? Why are we demilitarizing, but these aren't ending up anywhere? And why are people getting laid off jobs? What is happening on Mars? And she enlists the help of Alex to discover these black market machinations. They end up discovering that these weapons and warships are being sold to Marco and Naros. Now, at first, you just think it's weapons like, damn, yeah, missiles and stuff. And then they pull up with a whole fleet, and Marcos is like, we ready to roll. We have the OPA Armada now, made of Martian ships, but we the OPA. I really enjoyed how Alex was trying to balance his fame/infamy to get information out of the Martian higher-ups and how he's kind of feeling himself when that lady was hitting on him, but she was trying to get information out of him. But I kind of liked how he was like, yeah, you know what? I am Alex. I did some cool ass shit. Yeah, I'm the pilot of the Rocinante. I'm very sad that that character is gone. Hit me in the feels. But they end up going to rescue Naomi after receiving her distress call and seeing the fleet. And Alex had to push his body past the limit to save Naomi. And it was so abrupt to see him die, especially this way. You're just like, nah, there's no way he can just die in such a safe situation for him. This is his comfort place. He is the pilot. He's got them out of so many shitstorms. He can do it again, and he does it, but it takes his life. And RIP Alex, you'll be missed. I don't know how they're going to do it next season without your humor, without your cooking, without everything that you added to the Rocinante crew. The more character development that was really intriguing was to see how dejected and cynical Bobby was. Yes, she's still working for the greater good, but she's snapping at Alex and she's not happy with her situation at all, but all she knows how to do is be a soldier. And this is the closest she can get to it. And I'm hoping we can get a happy medium between the prideful soldier we got at first of her, where she just believes in Mars fully, and the pessimistic Debbie Downer that she kind of is right now. Holden is alone for really the first time with only Fred and Monica as company. This leads to Monica being captured when she's like, yo, we still gotta worry about the protomolecule. And Fred is murdered by Marcos's men, and he was essentially keeping the peace. He was the one that wanted unity with all. He was like a father figure to Holden and a less idealistic version of him. He was the realistic portrayal of Holden's goals, essentially. And Fred is now dead and his protomolecule stolen to give to the Martians. This leads Holden on a wild chase to where they pick up the signal of Naomi's ship, and they're deciding whether to go after the protomolecule or Naomi. And Monica's like, protomolecule is more important. And just like season 2, where he was obsessing over the protomolecule, he instead realizes what's truly important to him. And that's when it leads to this insane fucking fight with Marcos's men, where he's eventually saved by Drummer, who we'll talk about next. Drummer has a very depressing time. She's essentially just like a salvage pirate now, and she's just with her crew, and you really see the relationship she has and these people that she cares about. Because there was a time jump. She developed more relationships with people she previously knew and new crew members. But she eventually has to go under Marco and Naro to avoid really just being murdered in general and getting her crew murdered. She also finds Ashford's ship, and this just instigates more and more hate for Marcos. She is so furious because Ashford is dead and it was her fault. She could have been with him. I'm not sure she could have done anything, but she will still blame herself, as that is just the human nature. But after finding out he has Naomi, she ends up betraying Marcos to save Holden, and this leads to one of her partners being killed. And the emotion she has to go through. She chose to save one friend, and that led to the death of another. Let's just say Drummer did not have the most enjoyable season overall. And also the crew exchange, the chick that landed on Drummer's ship, oh my god. Can you hate somebody anymore? Finally, we have Ava Sorello, who's in a really unique situation for her. She has essentially no power. She ends up getting hints and discovering Marcos's plans, but she's ignored. She essentially ruined all of her trust with the current Secretary General by being the boy who cried wolf and shitting on her pretty much all through the election, and it ends up being too late before they believe her. Soon after, the current Secretary General is killed, leading to the appointment of a new one, and he doesn't exactly work for the job. Now, after the devastation of the first couple meteors, they're in a board meeting and they kill a group of belters. I forget exactly which asteroid or planet it is. And Ava Sorello, in contrary to her past things like sending the raid on the ship that she supposed Marcos was on, or destroying Deimos in like the first season, I think, chooses to go against the decision to attack more belters, saying this is not the way we survive. We lose the war this way, and resigns along with the rest of them. And Ava Sorello ends up in power again, back where she should be, in time to deal with these large issues of Earth versus the Belt and the new Martians within the ring and these new worlds. The most enjoyable part of her this season is having to use the scalpel instead of the hammer. She had to find more than brute force techniques to get what she wanted. Without the ultimate power of Earth, she ended up having to be much more technique focused and subtle in her ways. And I think it really humbled her and made her a more compassionate person to move forward. She is now the ultimate leader for Earth and hopefully the solar system against larger threats and the Martians that are now across the ring gates. Now, to end the season, we have the deal that Marcos and the Martians made. They now are using Mars's dream across multiple systems, and Marcos also has control of his own. And this leads to this weird ass red alien that we assume killed the Ringgate aliens, just absolutely destroying the two Martian officers that Alex had talked to earlier in the season. My god, what a note to end on. What the fuck is that, and how do you even fight that? The Holden Visions that he talks about when he passes through the ring gates were very reminiscent of this moment to a lesser extent, and it makes me wonder, how is Holden connected to this type of alien? Overall, Season 5 was still excellent and the same quality, if not better, of previous seasons. I have to apologize again for the less detailed review, but I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will be back with Season 6 episode coverage. I'm super hyped. I hope you are. Like and subscribe. See you guys later.